I have the honor of presenting the next award, which is our Spinal Champion Hero Award. Peyton received the Super Bowl trophy when they won Super Bowl 50. And it really is a miracle that that happened. Peyton had an extremely successful career. He was drafted, first draft pick out of University of Tennessee in 1998. And went to the Indianapolis Colts, and starting in 1999 became the Colts starting quarterback, and in fact was their starting quarterback through the 2010 season. Actually, in February of 2010, he had a disc herniation in his neck and had a little procedure on the back of his neck called a foraminotomy, where the surgeon went in the back of the neck, shaved away a bone, pulled the disc herniation out. And Peyton was able to compete after that in that 2010 season. And then in May of 2011, he basically re-herniated. His symptoms were worse. And they went back in and redid the same operation, which didn't work out so well. Peyton woke up, couldn't move his arm. And it was his right arm, his throwing arm. And so he was devastated. He couldn't even throw a dart at a dartboard at that point. And so he was like, okay, this is a problem. In April, Peyton had 2 boys born, twins. And he actually has a quote that I want to read to you. "The 1 year the Lord took my greatest physical gift, he gave me the greatest gift you could have in children." I just think it's a wonderful quote because it shows where Peyton's heart was. He actually felt that he could deal with the fact that his career might be over because he enjoyed coming home to his children and seeing his children. And that was such a gift for him that he said, okay, maybe this is the future. But he continued to look, and he traveled around the world getting experimental treatments, and he didn't get better. And finally, he had Bob Watkins in September of 2011 perform an anterior cervical discectomy infusion, which means you go through the front, take out the disc, fuse it, put a little plate on at the C6-7 level, for those of you that know the anatomy. He was still weak after the surgery, but he was somewhat better. He tried throwing the dart at the dartboard again, and he couldn't even get the dart to stick because he didn't have the strength. He didn't know if he'd get back. He went actually down to Duke and was working with Coach Cutcliffe down there, who was his former coach and knew him quite well. And so he was actually clandestinely working in strength training with the coach. And the coach would work with him before practice and then in the morning early. And then he would go through his day as the coach of Duke. And then Peyton would get the work done and keep working. Finally, in February of 2012, Watkins cleared him for return to play. At the same time, Indianapolis released him from his contract. So he had been the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts for 14 years. He had started or played in every game from the age of 15 to the age of 35 without missing a game for injury. And now he's looking at the possibility of not playing. He still had major weakness. He kept working hard, training secretly, and then finally he decided he had to make a move to see if he could get back to a team. And he went through a list and picked 3 teams that he was willing to try out for, and basically felt that he was back at the combine in Indianapolis going through what he had to do as a college senior. He ends up going to Denver Broncos, who took the chance on him. And his arm strength wasn't back. He was still weak. In fact, he had to change his mechanics. He had to change his delivery. But in spite of that, he actually led Denver to a 13-3 season in 2012, which is truly remarkable given where he was and what was wrong. They say the reason that he was so successful, though, was because he put himself wholeheartedly not only into the training, but then he decided to use his brain more and study harder on what the defenses were doing. and how to beat them. And he demanded that of everybody around him, and consequently raised the entire caliber of the team. In 2012, he threw 37 touchdowns. 2013, he led the league in touchdowns. And this is still with a poor throwing motion and a weaker arm. He just got smarter and worked harder on the intellectual side and succeeded. He won the touchdown record for the league that year with 47 touchdowns. He played in 2014, and then ultimately 2015, he took the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl, winning it Super Bowl 50 in 2016. The important thing about Peyton's story is that people with spinal problems can overcome their disability. And just like my earlier story about Kim and the need for hope, the reason we want to celebrate these heroes is because they make such a visible model for people that they don't have to live with their disability, that they can overcome their suffering, they can overcome their problems, and with hard work and dedication and the proper team working with them and getting the correct treatment. Because Peyton's problem, in part, was that he didn't have the right operation at the beginning. So getting the correct surgery, understanding what treatments work, is a way for people to get better and get their path back to their life. So in that, we honor Peyton Manning as the 2018 Champion of Hero.